when you say your parents were also really supportive of you and they're your two biggest cheerleaders, tell me more about that, because having parents like that is quite rare, really, especially from your era, which is 10 years even prior to mine. So what was that like, and how do you think that they've developed in that area just to let you just be free for you and your sister to go and do the things that you wanted to?
Yeah, so on both sides, my grandparents were both business people. My granddad on my dad's side had a shop, and my granddad on my mom's side was an industrialist. And, you know, my mom grew up very, very rich, like fucking Hillary from Fresh Prince, like nice car, like, you know what I mean? Like, just like she had all the fly shit. And my dad, and she grew up in Nairobi, which is like, you know, the New York of East Africa. And my dad grew up in Mombasa, which is just a beach place, and he was a bum. And I don't know, the stories that I know of is just like him having a good time is like, you know, going into the water and trying to catch a lobster with his like local Muslim friends, and like, you know, just like doing his thing like that. So like, you know, I had these two contrasting people. Yet on the flip side, when my mom and my dad married, and they could have both been rich or both been poor, they ended up being poor, which ended up being a good thing. And then, you know, my mom was just like really, really caring and, you know, very, very like glass half full. And my dad had this like incredible work ethic. But, you know, imagine this, like, you know, 1993, I've done my SATs and my whatever the fucking year 9 thing is. And I'm like,
SATs,
they're like, and they're like, you know, people are like, my parents don't even know that I've got to like choose my GCSEs until I tell them, because they're not from that kind of like system. And they're like, you know, what do you want to do for your GCSEs? And I'm like, I'm going to do drama and English and, you know, just these like subjects that seem like fun, and no pushback whatsoever. No, like, how are you going to be a pharmacist if you do drama? Like they didn't have those models. They didn't even know what courses led to what outcomes. So they were like, all right, do your thing. So for my
their experience kind of helped you then in a way. So they just let you be free because they didn't know that to be a pharmacist you might have to do X, Y, Z. They just thought, yeah, it's cool, just go and do what you want. And that sounds really freeing.
Yeah, and also, I think that was one of the benefits of growing up in a white town, is that we didn't have that nearby Indian society. We had two Punjabi Sikh families that lived on our road. They were just like some hustlers. They didn't give a fuck. They were just like all about, they were just about like, you know, singing, having a good time. Eating, just, you know, 4,000 cousins. Just, it's just like a love fest, right? Like, you know, you guys are both Punjabi, you understand the vibes. It's just like happy smiles, good times, good food, good drinks, singing, dancing. Like, that's how they were getting down. Then we had like a couple of Gujarati families within 3 or 4 miles of us. They were a little bit more like on the kind of like simple side. And then my family, and then eventually we were 7 in the house, and we ended up getting 2 houses, and my uncle and his wife and both of our grandparents, when they were alive, they were kind of like huddled up together. And, you know, there was like 7, 8 of us, I think, when everything was said and done. And then, yeah, they just gave me that freedom, dude. And I'm telling you, I feel like, and, you know, no disrespect to these cities, because I've hustled there and I've loved being there. But like, you look at places like Harrow and stuff like that, I feel like if they grew up there, there'd be a lot more opinions around them. A lot more like, you know, I'm sure it'd come up.
Massively correct. Yeah.
I'm sure somebody would say to my dad, like, you know, oh, has Raj picked his GCSEs? And my dad goes, yeah, he's going to do drama because he's really into fucking Shakespeare. And they go, yeah, but what can he do with drama?
Yeah.
And then like and then you fast forward, you know, 24, 26 years, and they're like, well, what can you do with drama? And I'd be like, talk and be a confident motherfucker, you bitch. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I can do.
Best line ever. Yeah.
What can your son do other than freak out about the fact that he's on £144,000 a year working in the city of London? He can't handle being at home. He can't handle working at home. He doesn't want to marry the girl that you want him to marry because he's gay. And you fucked his whole life up, right? Whereas if you actually just gave him permission to just be who he wants to be, maybe you might have not fucked him up so bad, because money is not the whole game. Like, I won the parents' lottery. So
you really did, man, honestly.
So I'm just like, these are the things that I think I'm a lot more like grateful for than, you know, and whilst it was hard, and whilst, you know, being around aggressive, racist white people in the 80s and 90s did mean, you know, fighting with your hands as a bare minimum on top of a whole bunch of other shit that had to happen to make it through those years. yeah, I'll take it, because it didn't fuck up the operating system inside the house.